zoom. So we are going to mix these together and I'm going to play heads-up zoom. We should have slight delay from the streaming softwares, but not as big as normal because we are playing zoom. So it's very hard to abuse the stream. We have a half a minute delay or so. So I'm going to play heads-up zoom. I have never played it. I have never even seen someone playing it. There's player pool of, wow, 44 players. 10 minutes ago it was 27 or something. So maybe everyone heard that I'm going to be there, so everyone rushed. But now there's actually 44 players. There are few things that are. Oh, I'm dropping frames again. I don't know why. Well, I hope the sound is good so you can hear me. It's dropping frames for some reason. I have no idea why. But normally when you play heads up, you play with the same opponent every hand. So if you're a good player, you start to profile your opponent from the first hand. And soon you will have some idea how he plays. In Zoom you have now 43 players, 44, so you have around 40 opponents that you have to profile. Yeah, you have the HUD, but if the sample size is 20 hands, it doesn't tell you anything. So it's hard to profile when 40 players at the same time. So I think heads-up zoom is probably a lot worse for me than normal heads-up tables. Because I think one of my strengths is that I can profile my opponent, I can get into their head, sort of think how do they think about poker. But now in heads-up zoom I can do that. I have never played it, but I think we are going there with 2 buy-in stop loss. So after we lose $100, we are dropping down to normal PLO50 zoom, and if we keep losing, then I don't know what we do, but we shouldn't. I will talk about the normal zoom when we get there, but now let's open up heads-up tables, and I think 2 tables is fine. Why can't I open a second one? Come on. Dude. Yes. Now I'm going to put it up here so it's easier for me. So I'm going to play 2 tables. Because oh, now we have 3 tables. Oh, 2. Have to step up 1. Oh, there's so much going on now when we're playing heads up. Christ. I have no idea how can I explain anything. I think I might be going down to one table because it's hard to explain. There's so much going on. So I will actually close this 1 table. Yeah. I will start explaining when I have only 1 table open, because this is actually really hard. Oh, he called me. That sucks. Ugh, I'm giving up. I thought about he should fold, but yeah, he's recreational player, so if he has any ace, he's probably not going to fold. So I'm not going to barrel recreational players. And now we have only 1 table. I can make it bigger now so you can see everything. Oh man, this is big. So in heads up, basically the same poker as in normal tables. But oh, a lot of drop frames. If the quality is bad, just let me know. There's quite a lot of drop frames. I don't know why it drops. Is there something wrong with my computer or not? I think that here, this is a flop that my opponent, if he's a good one, he's going to raise me a lot. I have the cut shot, and I think I can check back, and like if the heart comes, he bets I'm going to raise him. Queen doesn't help me, and he pots. He probably can do this with all his semi-bluffs. But as I really don't have anything, if this was a king of diamonds, I would call here. But I'm just going to fold. Well, I'm raising. I'm going to fold some really crappy hands, but I would raise them in 6 max against unknowns. So I'm going to raise here until I have some information for my opponent. If there was a heads-up specialist, he could tell something about what the optimum calling range is from the big blind or something like that. But as for now, I'm going to... This is some sort of multi-tabling. He's playing normal heads-up tables too, this Crab or whatever his name was. But position is so important in PLO that I think against unknowns you can open almost any button, and when you know anything about your opponent, then you can deviate from that. You can fold your crappy hand. Like if he's calling every small blind and doesn't like to fold. I'm going to see bet here because it's hard for my opponent to raise this kind of board unless he has something. So what makes heads up different in here than normal 6? Like if I open from button and big blind calls, let's play this hand. I have a open ender. I got 2 backdoor flushes, so do I want to raise? I'm going to call. Because if I pick up a backdoor flush, I can probably raise here and make him fold a lot. Oh, he checks back. I can't represent much. When he checks back the turn, he probably has a hand that got some showdown value, like overpair, queen 10. And he's probably not going to fold to a river bet anything. So that 3 is a bad bluff card. When I just call the flop, he doesn't believe in my bluff a lot. So he had a 10, yeah. What crappy hand. I don't know if he would call me if I bet, but now I know the opponent is call happy and I have 3-9, so I'm going to fold this hand. I don't really care about the auto profit thing. Of course, yeah, it's important that you don't give your opponent the possibility to make auto profit, but I'm just going to call aces here. And it's a rainbow, so I don't really have to be afraid of, well, king, jack, and 9 is bad for me, but I'm not that afraid. Well, 9 doesn't change anything. So this is the guy that checked back here, and now he bets big. The last time he just checked back when he had no... So now he has either air or king, jack. And versus either one of those hands, I don't achieve anything by raising. Because he's going to fold his air. Of course, if he has some kind of flush draw, it sucks if the club comes. But I'm going to check call this river. And if he has king jack, he has king jack. No, he has ace queen 10 with the clubs. So about the auto profit, if I give my opponent my 1 BB, I'm not that worried because the pots are going to be so big. I'm probably going to get it back at some point. But yeah, I think I'm going to call at least 50%. The opponent doesn't min raise, he opens a lot more. Some open 3 BB, some open min raise. Now he calls, he just gives me the free flop. So what I was saying about I don't know, 10 minutes ago. In normal table, if you open from button and big blind calls, it's a heads up pot, but the ranges are sort of tighter. Yeah, the button range might be wide, but the big blind is not going to call with the wide range. While when you are playing just heads up, both players' ranges are pretty wide. This is interesting. Would he bet anything but the flush here? He can't have a missed draw. Would he value bet king 10? I just can't find a hand that he's betting that I can beat. Probably flush most of the time. So when you are playing heads up, you know, heads up table, both ranges are wide. That's why it's sort of hard to play heads up, because the ranges are so wide you can't rule out any hand pre-flop. And as there's only one opponent, it's probably, if both players are good, they are not giving up easily. So often, even in the turn, the ranges are super wide. Oh, he folded. Down. And Artemis says, why heads up bottom is the best game? As I have said, PLO is the best game in my mind. Oh, what a flop. Probably check raising here. This is, if the opponent knows anything about PLO, he knows that this is a great flop to raise, and he probably checked back over pair. And let's see if we can value no. Because when there's one high card, two low card, it's hard to hit that board. So those are basically the good boards to check raise. And if opponent knows that he's going to check back, and it goes in so many levels. Here I'm not going to 3-bet because the opponent is 50 BBs deep. So I'm just going to call, see if I hit anything. I hit top pair, cut shot. We'll call at least one street. And probably check, because the opponent checks behind. He doesn't have the flush. So I'm going to make a small bet with my trips and hope he calls. Oh, he had a flush, but he didn't bet. That was a strange. Short stacker can bet anything, but when he calls the turn, he has something. And that's the problem, if I can see it in here. Well, he can bet almost anything on the river, but if he had any worse hand, when he calls the turn, he has to have something. And if he has something, why would he turn that something into a bluff on the river? So I really think he had a flush there so often, and it's a pot bet. Oh, I'm actually going to pot this, because when he limps, he probably doesn't have a strong hand. Of course, we have only one hand on him, but I can represent ace pretty well, and he shouldn't have a lot of aces in his hand. If he raises here, it would be so sick, but heads up is sick. So Artemis is asking, why do I like heads up? And I refer, it's the best game in the world. Because in heads up PLO, you are going to play so much against your opponent. If you have the same opponent for multiple hands, you're going to create good dynamics pretty fast. And in PLO, you can represent so much more than in Texas Hold'em heads up. In PLO, you can represent almost anything if you have the balls for it. Top pair and the cut shot. I'm going to actually bet the turn. Protection semi-bluff. If he folds any overcards, he probably, through part of his range that beats me is overpairs, but it's hard for him to call with an overpair. Well, it's not hard. If he checks back the flop, he has to call the turn. But he checks the flop and folds the turn, pretty much gives up. It's strange. So I have been playing heads up for fun. And I have been playing heads up. Even when I play for fun, I want to win. And I'm going to c-bet here. Because the problem is when I check back, especially against unknowns, it caps my range. I can't represent any set of kings or king 9 on the turn. And he raises me, probably has the best hand. So instead of c-betting, oh, he folded before I can see my cards. Now this is easy. So if you want to check back on the flop, you really have to have a plan, because the opponent is going to bet so many turns. But we haven't had any big pots, but the pots get big pretty fast. Like he wants to make a 3-bet on me, which I think that regulars will make a lot of times. Then I 4-bet him, he calls, and suddenly I'm flipping for stacks. He calls and donks this. I have no idea what his donking means, but I don't have anything. If I call the flop, do I want to call turn and river? So I'm just going to fold these donks, and when I have more information on my opponents, I can see if they donk bet a lot or not. This Julian is one of the regulars, so I'm just going to give him some pressure. The queen is not good card because it's an overcard through my jacks, but I think he has a lot of pairs from this flop, or he has some kind of flush draws, and I wouldn't be amazed if he has just a pair flush draw or some kind of 5-3 type of hand. And he had a 4 and a flush draw and picked up 2 pairs on the turn. Funny that he didn't raise me. We have no idea on my opponent. He has played 3 out of 4 hands and my hand is crappy, but I'm still going to open it. My standard line is to open, and the way I see it, that you have these standard lines that you do against unknowns. Now we have back-to-back hands. You have these standard lines that you do against unknowns. And if you want to adjust and change from that, you need to have a reasoning. And as I don't have reason of not to c-bet or not to open, I'm just going to do it. Yeah, it's action-packed. You can get a lot of hands. If I had huge bankroll, drive you nuts. I don't know anything about him, but I'm going to see when he folds. Earlier he folded to queen 10 something, so he's probably playing pretty honestly. I'm not going to start 3-betting these guys until I know something about them. This flop sucks. We have nothing, only some backdoors. Backdoors of backdoors. So not going to chase there. Small 3-bet, definitely call. And we flop cut shot, pair, and flush draw. Do we want to get it in or not? We have some folding equity, definitely, so yeah. And the money goes in, and he has overpair and flush draw. It sucks, so he's crushing us. Yeah, that's the only card that I'm worried that he has the overpair and the flush draw. So there goes one buy-in. Then we have a cut shot and a nut flush draw, but don't get any action. Oh, we actually lost $65 because we were deep. Yeah, probably. The problem here is that if 9 comes, it kills the action. If club comes, it kills the action if he doesn't have the higher flush. And if he has this hand and the turn is clubs, the money goes in anyway. So I think when raising, I have definitely, like, if he has only ace, king without the flush draw, he's probably going to fold. But not this time. Oh, we have same kind of situation. We have top pair and open ender. Oh, he checks. Well, I'm going to bet. Don't know what his check means. It's so weird. And he check folds after 3-betting. Now that's super strange. We have Lankinen here, and he's waiting. Now I know that Lankinen99 is watching this. You were here last time. And you probably should know that we can monitor IP addresses who watches this game, and we can report and will report those to PokerStars. So they can compare the IP addresses that are playing. So if you keep abusing the stream, don't be surprised if your account is frozen. So this Lankinen guy was actually watching the stream last time and he abused it. We are almost certain about it. So I would say to Lankinen, he's from Finland, that please get out and don't start doing anything illegal. Yeah, I see that as a default in heads-up bot, pretty much always. Because no matter how scary the board is, it's as scary to my opponent. Well, if I have a backdoor flush draw over cards, but I don't really. I'm just going to bet, and the opponent falls. This is pretty much the best result for me. And if I check back the flop, it's going to create an awkward spot now if the opponent like. I'm going to 3-bet this one. And let's see if he starts to make move, how he calls. Now I could fire 3 barrels, but when he calls the flop, he definitely has something. So I'm not sure if he's going to fold. So I'm going to check back. And he probably bets. Now, if I had like Jack 8, I probably would check raise here, because he shouldn't have straight that often with that bet sizing. Of course, if he has 9-10, he might play it this way, but this is so often a float or that, but I'm just going to give up. So we are. I'm going to float this guy. He bots the turn. Let's see what he does. 100. Only 3 hands, but he probably has the queen often there. My time bank is out. Wow. I kind of hoped that the club wouldn't have come on the turn, because my plan was to check raise the turn. But now the club came, so all I have to do is, I cannot just value bet the river and get some value, but what he had, oh, he had aces, so he would have probably bet the turn. So we are just waiting. We are actually close to our stop loss, so if we lose one big pot, then we have to go to normal tables. I'm going to call here. I have 2 overcards. Wow. I think I'm going to check call the river. No. I thought if he had air, he might actually bluff the river. But he wasn't smart enough. Yeah, he had nothing. But he didn't turn it to bluff. But if I would bet the river, he would just fold it. Yeah, I couldn't even come up. Well, I can't. This is the problem, because Lankin is watching the stream, and if I move the hand away, he can still see my starting hands, so I'm not going to play any hands against him. Of course, we are going to play 1 hand out of, he's playing 2 tables, so 1 out of 25 hands against him, but I'm happy to just give him the half a blind. Oh, there's quite a big stack, $900. That's a deep stack. I'm not going to 3-bet this guy because he's sort of shorty. So I'm going to just check raise the flop and see if we can get the money in. We should be dominating some of his hands a lot. And he just folded. I think maybe as we are trying to minimize the possible losses, I'm going to rat load, which means I'm going to sit out and reload to 100 BPs if I go to like $75. Another 3-bet. We are never folding in heads up pot these type of hands. And when the ace comes, he's just going to bet and wins the pot. There's not much we can do. We know he has 3-bet king queen 7-3 out of position, so I think about, can we raise? Oh, the time back. The problem is that if we raise, he can actually shove, like, he knows we don't have aces, so he can shove any flush draw, so if I had an ace there, I would have probably raised. Yeah, with the flush, I decided to check on the board pairs, so I don't have the nuts. Now this is getting interesting. I think I get the best value by just calling down. And if the opponent has aces, he really doesn't know what to do here. And if he check raises me, I'm probably going to fold. If he had a king high flush, I think he would check raise me on the turn. That's what I would do probably. Of course, he doesn't know anything about me. But the problem is that I'm thinking on so many levels. I'm not going to play against him. I'm not going to put any cent to the pot when I'm in hand with him. So he can play with the other guys heads up and win. I'm happy to give like 5 BBs in an hour to him that he's not going to exploit me. So the board was paired, the hand was chip leader is talking about. I had a nut flush on the river and the board was paired. And I'm just going to wind up, so it's so vulnerable. Pretty much any third card completes a straight. Now this is one of the best because I really represent pocket jacks. So he has to fold out throw. But if I call, if the turn is anything from 5 to king, it completes a draw. So if I just check call, it's going to be hard to play. Now I have backdoor flush draw over pair. I'm going to check back this flop. Because I don't know anything about my opponent. But it means that he's going to bet this turn often. And if he bets, I'm just going to call it. And then on the river, we have to play poker. And I don't think if he doesn't have a flush, he's not going to bet the river. So we can see that he had a... Well, we were ahead. He hit the 4 on the river. So it was kind of unlucky. So what I was saying, well, it's hard to say because so much going on, but the hand that chip leader was asked, I didn't want to bet because if my opponent had a flush, I don't think it's a big part of his range, and if he has air, he is going to fold. But the only way to get value from worse hands like air is, oh, I fold, should have to call, I missed it. So I can make him, because when the board flushes and pairs, he might think I have some kind of straight draw, so he might make a desperate bluff on me on the river. But he had only air, so even if I bet, he's just going to fold his air. I'm really surprised that the play is actually quite passive, because the PLO games I have been playing, I just thought I have 6-4 of diamonds, it would be great, but now I'm just going to check back. And he has only the flush draw. Did he have a straight on the... No. And he 3-bets, I'm going to call. And we hit the set and the flush draw and the straight line. And he pots, he has only, now he has under a pot size left, so I'm happy to shove. And he should snap call, and he has, he had a 8-jack, but we are slightly ahead, and we beat him. We beat him on the turn, and we overbeat him on the river. Chip leader with the 2-tone flop, if I remember the hand, we don't have timer, so I try to be quick. Was it this one? Yeah. I'm going to pot it, because he shouldn't have 5-7. And that kinda sucks. I'm just going to make a more small bet on the river. And if he calls, I get a read on... Oh, he folded, yeah. That's great. Oh, Lampkin folded against me. Now that's strange. I tried to be quick, so he might miss my hand. With the 2-drop flop, I didn't bet because I think my opponent is some sort of regular. Oh, we are this deep. Oh, we have to rat load. I'm going to check because this is a flop that he is going to check raise me a lot with semi-bluff because I shouldn't hit this board often. Of course, in button my range is super wide, but this is kind of flop that it's hard for me to hit. And I'm checking back, like if he has a hand, he's raising me on the flop and I lose that one bet. And if I call the turn, I'm going to lose that same bet. So it doesn't really matter if I bet the flop or call the turn. A lot of his range, I'm going to lose that one bet. When I check the flop, call the turn, it creates a really nasty spot for him on the river. And of course, when I hit the king, I can just call for value. But let's say this is jack of hearts, and he bets. Now I have the option to raise him, and he can't call me without a flush. And he shouldn't have that many flushes. Like if I raise good amount, it's enough if he folds half of his range on the turn, and flush should be smaller portion of his range on the turn. So this way I can actually bluff him instead of him bluffing me on the flop. But if I decide to check back this flop, I have to know what do I do on some various turns, because if I just fold any turn that doesn't improve my hand, I'm going to lose money. So especially in heads up, and when you create the dynamics, I think you need to have the check back in your arsenal on the flop, because you just can't c-bet and fold, because sometimes checking back creates a pretty nasty spots for your opponents. I'm going to 3-bet this. It's 2 paired. It's great hand. We don't have a lot of history with the guy, and here I'm betting smaller to induce, and I'm going to get it in. Even if he has a set of kings, we have still... when he calls, he probably has a flush draw, so I'm just going to check call and represent I might have a set. And I hope the river doesn't pair. And probably going to check raise the river and hope he bluffs or value bets his flush. Oh, he checks. He probably doesn't have much. He can 9-5 flush. Now, either I overestimated him or underestimated him. But I really thought that if he has a flush, he is going to bet it on the river. And as you can see, Lankin is thinking. No one has thought this long so far, and he's thinking so he can see my cards on the stream. And I'm not going to give him any action. And I thought he's going to bet the river with his flush. So now when I know he has a flush, I should have bet the turn, bet the river. I'm going to bet the turn as a semi-bluff. I have the flush draw and cut shot. And sometimes I actually have the best hand and he raises me, which is super strange. But his bet sizing is really big, 632 in the pot of 486. So I have no idea. He might have hit the flop and he just induced me, but why would he raise this big? The problem is that if I don't improve on the river, I can't make anything, and even if I improve, all I can do is check call. So I'm just going to check fold and make a mental note that he might actually definitely good enough player to make that even with total air or with the nut flush draw. He knows I don't have a lot of hands. Like if I'm going to raise there with trips or better, I'm still going to fold like 90% of my range. So yeah, I think that the guy, what his name was, whatever, Julian, he is probably some sort of regular, because he is making check flop raise turn move that no one has done before against us, so he's one of the better ones. Pretty much from that hand I know that he's a thinking player and he can think on sort of deeper level. Small flushes for value, or do I bluff? It really depends on the situation. Like, what does my hand look like? What kind of range I represent? What my opponent represents? And so on. Like in here, if he would have check, I would have bet. But now I don't have anything, so I'm just going to fold. And I think his donk betting is not good there. Here I'm going to call with my ace. And we pick up open-ender on the turn. Probably if he bets, I'm going to call, and he checks the turn. Not sure. Well, he checks and makes my life easier, because if we would have bet, I don't know if I should call or fold, not sure. I might toss a coin, because it's such a good bluff card for him. If he wants to bluff. We have a rainbow crappy hand, but it's a 3-bet pot, so we are going to call. And we might actually hit something. These are kind of boards that can create really nasty dynamics, because we can call here. Like if we had 7, we would call here. But I don't know anything about my opponent, if he just calls turn and river with aces or not, so I'm going to fold. But against regulars, we can call there, and when he checks in position, we can pretty much bet any turn and really put him in the nasty spot if he has the overpair. And he raises us on the turn. This is so strange. He probably has pocket queens or something, but I'm not going to fold. And now when I have the nuts, how do I get most value? I think I'm just going to bet. Because he might think I have a missed flush draw. Good donking range in heads up. Against unknown, I don't have a donking range 100 pp's deep. Because I much rather balance my check raise range. But when you're donking, it's just very often you are just isolating yourself. He has raised my c-bet twice out of 3 times. So I'm going to check back here with my top pair and contra, because it's a rainbow flop. And when he bets, I'm going to call. Now he checks, I'm going to bet the turn, definitely. And we hit the nuts on the river. Bluff me, come on. And he does. And do I want to pot? I want to maximize the folding. If I was bluffing, I would make a really big raise. And that's what I'm doing now. Of course, I shouldn't be bluffing here. And he just folds. He doesn't even think so. He didn't have anything. So the problem is when you don't, you isolate yourself against a value range. Like, no one calls the donk with total air. On dry boards, regulars will raise you. At least that's what I do. But instead of donking here, I'm going to check raise the flop, and now I hit my hand on the turn, so I'm going to just bet it. I have 2 pairs and a gut shot. So, of course, I would donk if I know that my opponent is checking back a lot of flops. Like he has a wide check back range, so I would donk to create the pot. I'm going to bet the river for value. And he calls with words, and probably an overpair. No, he had 6-7. Well, that's interesting. And I'm going to rat mode again. So often when I'm giving my opinions on hand history, someone asks me that, what do you do here? Or is this played well? I'm going to bet the turn here, because when he checks quickly, he shouldn't have flushed that often. Of course, he's from Greece, but he folds. So, donking, often when I talk about with my students about some hands, they donk and then they ask, was that a good play? And the problem is that whatever the flop is, when you donk, your opponent is going to often fold all his air and continue with hands that hit the board. So you don't get any value from his bluffs. Unless it's a try board, he raises you, and if you're donking with air, you have to fold. But on those normal like King 9-5 with 2 clubs as the one opponent donking, it's kind of flop that if my opponent calls, he has something, and he has position. And whatever I has, it's going to be so nasty often on the turn. And when you hit your hand, like if you hit the top set, you really want to get maximum value. And when you have a top set, you're just blocking pretty much a lot of the nutty hands. So if your opponent raises you, it's sort of set up. It doesn't then matter if you check raise him or whatever you do. But when you don't bet, he's just going to fold his air. But if you check raise him, you get value from his air. Or if you check call, you get value from his air, and you can't get value from his air on the turn. So I don't really like donk betting unless my opponent is passive and he's going to check back a lot of flops. Because then I have to donk bet. And I don't believe that in heads-up pots you really need to have donking range against unknowns. And the problem is that in PLO, the bottom of the range is quite hard to estimate. Like, is small flush draws bottom of your range on certain boards? What if the board is paired? So I don't think you have to donk, because people see bet that much. When my opponent starts to check back on the flops, like the Julian guy did, then we have to adjust, and then we have to start donking him, so he can't get a free turn card always. And when we start to donk, we have to have a balanced donking range. We have to have strong hands. We have to have probably air. Depends. But against unknowns, I am never donking. We might be actually close to break even now. Not sure. Probably have to check from my poker tracker at some point. Ace King 7-8 with suited. It's a borderline. He opens 3 BBs and he's a shorty, but it means that if we hit the hand, he's going to broke more easily. Because when he's a shorty, the position doesn't give him that much advantage. Because I'm just going to raise here, we have 2 pairs. If he has better hand than he has, if he has overpair and flush draw, well, he had a big wrap and we lost the pot. Well, we had 45 on the flop, so not that bad. Well, we might get it back here. Oh, he pots it. I'm going to call and see what happens on the turn. Our hand slightly improves. He puts us on the draw. I'm going to get it in. He might have a lot of draws. Of course, if he has queen 10, we are drawing 4 outer. But we are blocking one of the queens. and he has only Jack 9. So we'll get it back there. And the reason why I call it the flop is that our hand looks like a straight draw. So if the turn completes a straight and he bets big, he probably has the nut straight himself. So I'm calling on the flop. Of course, if I know that he's 3-bet his aces, I'm going to shove, because if I play this hand, this is like the top of my flop range that I'm going to hit with this hand. But his range is wider, as we saw there, so if he's betting the turn big, it gives me pretty good information about his hand. He's not, like if the turn is 8 or king, he's never betting big with the set or 2 pairs or overpair. So that's the reason why I called instead of shoving, and I was super lucky to have one of the good turn cards for me. Hello Neo, we are playing heads up PLO Zoom. I'm going to check for my poker tracker. You shouldn't check poker tracker in middle of session, but I have to see if we are actually 1 buy-in up, so we have 3 buy-ins to spend. We are playing heads up PLO here. Yeah, it's the first all-in. We had almost a full stack previously. I don't remember what hand it was, but I'm going to see it from my poker tracker. Yeah, it's because we had the full house where we had the flop set and the flush draw versus the nut straight. But he was only 50 BB. What happens here? We have 2, oh man. We have 2 tables open and we have a hand on the other one. I'm going to close the small one. It doesn't let me. We have a wrap and 2 backdoor flush draws. It's such a big wrap that when I have a hand that is strong enough to call a check raise, then I'm happy to bet it, because opponent can't raise me off the board. And when it just calls, I'm going to barrel the turn. And I don't have any showdown value, so I have to bet the river. And when the board pairs, I can represent a lot stronger than him. And if he's just taking a call down with aces or something like that, then I have a good note on him. And he should fold a ton in here. And he calls with king. Wow. So I'm going to make a note of that one. That means that he's waiting for a note. When he comes to my table, I can give him a note. Quite a call down. Well, I understand the turn come out on the river. Probably he just couldn't fold. But this 8 is kind of sucks. It completes the straights and flushes. And I don't have a history with him, so I don't have to balance my range yet. So I'm just going... I'm giving up. He probably bets the river and I fold. But if he was a regular, I think that I need to have a range that I continue there with. Now you can see my HUD is the same from both positions, because I haven't played heads up PLO, so I don't have a heads up HUD. But if I were playing more heads up, definitely have a separate HUD that you have small blind and big blind on your HUD. I have to bet the river. The king sucks, but if he doesn't have a straight, it's hard for him to call when I bet the turn and I bet the river. But I think we can survive this evening with our normal HUD. We haven't really hit the flops when we call out of position. I wonder why he thinks that long. I'm just going to fold when he thinks that long. It probably isn't the bluff ever. Julian folds a lot of big blinds. I don't know why. But it would be interesting to see his HUD display from each position, because I don't think he... how should we raise? Oh yeah, we can raise. We have a double cut shot and we have the parent back to a flush draw, and he should fold a lot here. Well, I'm going to bet the turn. And we actually hit the nuts on the river, so of course we are going to barrel the river. And he just folds, so that's... I thought he might have a bluff catcher. Might be that we are too late, but I'm going to play this hand against him just to see. Yeah, he's waiting on the flop to see. That's so wrong. And all we can do is to report Lankinen to the PokerStars and they can deal with him, because this is so obvious. Because he probably knows that we have 20-second delay. So on the flop he's waiting for that 20 seconds so he can see my river card, my whole cards around now. Like here you can see how this guy plays. So it's so obvious that he's abusing the stream, and this is why we have the delay. We thought that for the zoom we don't need that big of a delay, but apparently we need to have that delay if we want to play zoom, or I'm just going to fold every hand against him. He calls pre-flop with this hand and he calls my c-bet on the flop. So he's just going to see my hand if he can bluff me from the pot, and I know it, so my plan was to call any river, and he gets one runner straight. So it's kind of sad that some idiot is abusing the stream, and now all of those who want to watch the coaching, you have to suffer from the delay. We have to put 1 minute delay because we have 100% positive abuse of the stream. So if we want to do these live coachings, then we have to put the delay because we have these type of players. And we're going to report these to PokerStars. They can do what they want, but this is so obvious that I hope they froze his account and he doesn't get this money. And I'm going to probably post it to somewhere else, just everyone knows that this guy is an idiot that ruins others' opportunities to learn. I'm going to triple barrel this guy. And I have a lot of folding equity on the turn, because this is what happens often, especially in lower limits, like in PLO5 or that type of... people call on the flop, like, there the board was 10-4-3. Well, they have pocket queens, they call because they might be ahead. But on the turn, the board gets scarier and scarier. Oh, we have another abuse. But he's disconnected, so maybe not an abuse. It's just when someone is from Finland or anyone suddenly waits a lot to make a decision, it's so suspicious. Let's see what he does. If he bets the turn, I probably have to fold because the board is so scary. Yeah, but he thinks so long. Yeah, he have a bad connection, but I'm getting pretty paranoid. Callan is asking what's up now. Here is what's up. We have Lankinen99 again watching stream, and he is abusing the stream for 100% sure. So this is the first hand I play with him, and he called pre-flop. He called on the flop with this hand on this board, so he's not playing for hand value. And he bet the river because he knew I'm going to call, and he had the backdoor straight. But the way I'm adjusting is that I'm not playing any hands with him. I'm folding pre-flop every hand. Here he raises so small that if he has two pairs, I probably has enough equity, and I can bluff some spades. So I'm going to call. And river is bad. He probably has queen 9 often, I think, or some kind of two pairs. And queen 5. Well, he had a spade, so maybe it's a good thing that we didn't hit the spades. But we need there not much, I think 20% or something on the turn, and in raw equity we had 25, so we definitely had the odds to call there. We are not over buying up because we lost the big pot. We are $30 up, but still winning. Better than I hoped. Yeah, it's a good concept raise, but when the opponent bets it, he probably has something, and he's just not folding. I don't have much to go with it. And here we have a set and a flush draw, so if he raises, we can call. So I'm definitely betting for value here. And he calls, and we get pretty nice river card. We have one queen in the hand. The only hands we are getting value from is 10 deuce, 10 queen. And we are blocking those. So this is actually a spot where I want to check back. Because there's not much he can call us with, but I think we have to bet. We have like third nuts. He might make a spewy call with kings or whatever, but this is actually when we think that he probably calls us with trips or full houses only. And if he has trips, he's never going to turn with just some deuce XXX hand. So 10 deuce, 10 queen are the hands that he can call us with. But if he has queens or pocket deuces, he's beating us. And opponent raises us. Now this is interesting. Do we want to call or do we want to raise? We are definitely not folding against unknown. So I'm calling and give him an opportunity to bluff. Now the turn kind of sucks. But I'm going to make a small bet. And river kind of sucks. There isn't really a worse trees that can call us. It's like 3, 4, 5, 6 is the only hand that is worse than us. So I'm going to check back. And he had actually 3, 9, 9, 6. Well, that's one option, so that's pretty wow. If I had ace 3, I would shove the flop, because then I get maximum value from worse trips. But now when I have only jack 3, it's hard to get value, but we managed to do that. So yay, we're going to rat load. Audio is clipping. I have to put it lower. What do you mean? You mean physically lower, like put it down or put the volume down or what? I'm stupid, I don't understand. Well, there's something. Oh, we get in. Yay. He opens 3 BBs. We have such a low card, and there's double cap on the top, so I'm just going to fold this one. If he opens min 2 BBs, I'm going to call, but now it's just a bit too much. Volume down. Yes, sir. So, is it now any better? I hope. Wow, he open folds button. That's new. We have decent hand. Now, if he opens, I would probably 3-bet, because if we hit anything, we often dominate him. So we can get the stacks in when he's such a shorty. Wow. Fold, 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 fold. I always thought that in heads up PLO we see the flop pretty much always. But we don't. Now, our hand is super crappy, so we are just opening to steal the pot at some point. And the suit and the 3 is just an benefit or backup. We might sometimes, but this is a great flop to see. But if he doesn't have an ace, there's not much he can do. Well, he can start to raise, but against unknown, it's not the best option. Yeah, we have middle pair and a flush draw. So I'm going to check back here. And I think he's going to bet often, but when he checks, I'm going to bet. And now I don't know how aggressive. He might think that when I don't see bet the flop, I shouldn't have a flush draw, because if I had a flush draw, I would bet the flop. So if he thinks on that level, he's going to raise me. And I have 2 pairs as a backup, so I'm going to call and see what he does on the river. And if he bets pot on the river, he probably has a big flush. And he thinks I have a flush, he's taking maximum value. So it might be a bluff, or it might be a ace blocker bluff. But we don't have history, so I think that more often this is for value. And I'm going to actually lay down my 7 high flush. A lot of back-to-back hands, so probably happens because everyone is playing a hand, and for some people the hand takes more time, so when we finish a hand there's no available players, so we get another hand straight after that. Min raise. Well, we had the gut shot. 6 is out for us, diamonds are good, so I'm calling. Hope to see 9 of diamonds on the turn, but... And now he pots it, so now we fold. Might be inducing, might be whatever, but he gave us such a great prize. I'm kind of surprised that the face so passive. Because I really thought that in PLO50 people would 3-bet a lot, people would raise a lot. Just play with aggression. Chipin is asking what would be the changes in your HUD. The first thing is to make separate stats for button and big blind. Because for some players they differ from each other a lot. So I'm making separate stats. Other than that, I probably have a lot of the same stats. I'm going to call this, see if I improve, and probably often get a free river card. But we hit the, do we have the nuts? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, we do have. So just bet big. He folds. Julian, he doesn't like to play out of positions. He's like, he's opening a lot of pretty much every button, but he's folding a lot out of position, and his average pre-flop raise is 40. So in button it might be 100, but it evens out there. I'm going to check raise this flop. Oh, it's a limp spot. He probably has nothing, so I'm just going to half a pot. 1 out of 3 times he folds and he raises. This is so weird, but probably aces. Whatever it was, good for him. I'm going to 3-bet my 2 pairs. Overpair and the flush draw. This is sort of interesting. The problem is that he might have higher flush draw. And I'm just going to barrel, because if I check the turn, it really looks like it's a trap. I have the third nuts. I'm going to bet fold. And he had a jack high flush, so sucks. Yeah. That's what happens when you play those small flushes, but I think in his range there's 7-6 high flushes too, so it was kind of unlucky. But we lost over $30 there. But I think we have to bet our third nuts on the river. Oh, we have a really nice flop. I'm going to check raise this one. And he folds. Too bad. And Julian folds button. Wow. So strange. And he has folded so many big blinds that I'm opening any 4 against him. He hasn't 3-bet ever. Of course on 13 hands. But he hasn't folded on the 2 flops. I'm going to check back here. And I'm going to bet the river. Unless I hit something. And either he has air and he is just giving up, or he has some kind of bluff catcher. And this time he's giving up, which is nice. Not much going on. Haven't had a hand, but I don't know. In the first hour there was action, but now everyone is just folding. But of course we don't have hands, so we are folding. There's a lot of dropped frames in the stream. Don't know why. Now it seems to be stable. So there should be some problems with the stream. But now it seems stable, so it should work for a moment. When the screen freezes, does the sound freeze too? I actually don't know. Is it just the screen that is frozen, or is my sound getting bad too? Because if you can hear me, it's all good then. And now there's another. I don't know why there's a lot of dropped frames. I'm going to bluff the river, because if he has some kind of weak ace, he just has to fold it, I suppose. Here I'm going to check raise him, because I might have the straight, and he just folds, which is nice. And if he calls against these two pairs, I have a lot of, because I have the overcards and I have the flush draw. And he just calls. I'm going to c-bet this flop. Oh, I'm unreachable. I'm reachable. I'm just not looking at my Skype. I'm going to barrel this guy. Wow, I would want to raise him so bad. Because that looks like a missed flush draw. So I'm going to make a raise, and if he folds half of his range, it's good for us. We have one blocker, so I really think he shouldn't have straight always. Of course, he probably shoves on us. But I really think with straight, he might check raise me on the river, because this donk bet on the river looks like a flush draw, and he folds, so woo! We were right. So I hope the stream works, and you can see that one, because I really liked that. Well, of course, when the read is right, it's nice. If he would shove us or call with the set or two pairs, it would suck. But this time it worked, and we won $32. So now we have to rat load again. Oh, we have aces. Oh, and Julian folded. Wow, he has folded like last 10 hands against us. I don't know why. Is it possible that he thinks that we are sort of good player? He gives some respect to us. He thinks that we know something about Omaha, and he decides not to play against us because he thinks that he's not winning enough. The rate is going to be bigger than his win rate against us. I don't know if someone has played PLO Zoom, heads up. Is this some kind of tendency that the regulars don't want to play against each other, so they are just folding pre-flop? I don't know, but that's so strange that he has folded like 10 hands against us. Super strange. Just going to open the hand. One option is to 3-bet, one option is to call. I think I'm going to call and see what the flop is. And I'm going to raise this as a semi-bluff. He calls and turn is interesting. I don't think there's much benefit of betting. And if he has an overpair like aces, he might call us. And wow, he had aces with the nut flush and he doesn't bet it. Well, of course, he doesn't have a spot to bet, but still, he had a pretty strong hand. I'm going to bluff catch this one. Yes, half a point. I need to be right 1 out of 3 times. Of course, when he has the queen, it sucks, but I think he has a lot of missed flush draws there. And if he has a missed flush draw 1 out of 3 times, we are making profit. And I'm c-betting because if I check the flop, I have to call the turn, because when I check the flop, he probably doesn't think I have a straight. So he's going to bluff a lot of turns, so I'm much more happier to bet. If he calls, I'm ahead of his calling range. And we have position. We can take the hand to showdown cheaply when we want to. Now this is interesting. We might call here as a float, which I'm actually going to do. And now we make a raise. Because if we had a 9, this is exactly how I probably play. But he insta-shoves, so he probably has the 9 himself, and this time it sucks. It didn't work out. But if he has overpair or air, he just has to fold. And when we calculate his hand combinations, he doesn't have a 9 pair like 90% of the time. So I think with turn raise, we're going to win the pot so often. Or then he just overplayed his pair. Not sure, but I'm going to raise my combo draw. And he just folds. We have a shorty. Let's see if we can stack him off. No, we don't even get any action. Oh, we had a straight flush draw open ender, but no action. Sucks. Now it becomes a folding war. Who folds the most? People are open folding buttons. Strange. Well, as people are folding this much, I'm opening any button. And out of position, people are opening 3x. Pretty much everyone, so I'm not going to call with these type of hands. Ace is a bad card, but I have to bet it. And he just folds. Wow, people are giving up pretty easily. I hope the stream is working. So if it doesn't work, just let me know. Here on the turn I have open-ender and pocket 10, so I think it's a good spot to check back. And we get the nuts on the river, which is great, and I think we can bet big. Either he has a bluff catcher or he doesn't. And he doesn't. And finally we hit, we have the nut and hope we get some action. Ah. Come on, why aren't these guys playing heads up if they are too scared to play? I'm going to go with this hand. And we have pair, cut shot and flush draw. So we have the second nuts. The problem with playing out of position is the turn I have to check, and he probably checks. So he often has either a busted straight draw or small flush. So this time I'm going to bet it. I don't think he's going to bluff me. And he probably has jack high, 9 high flush. Yeah, jack high flush. Whoa, he had a huge wrap on the flop. Wow, he flopped the world. So to say, he has chinion outs to his draw. We have a set and he draws the flop. And he donks the turn. If we can get half a pot as value, we can call. And I think that sometimes we are actually ahead. Like if he has some kind of 2 pairs or something, he's going to check the turn. But now he pots, he has probably the nut flush. So I'm going to make a note on that he donks the nut flush on the turn. And a couple of question marks, so it's not a confirmed read. But something that might be. So next time I know that. Probably when he plays it that way, he has often nut flush. So he weights his range towards that. And it seems that we have some problems with the stream, so I'm probably going to change. Of course, if you're watching this on YouTube, it doesn't matter now. Turn completes every straight, every flush draw, everything, so I'm just going to fold this one. And we are 75, so it's time for rat mode. And I'm going to restart the stream. So just a second and we open the stream on our own server.